حضورنا الكريم، أرحب بكم في جلسة هذا الشهر من ملتقى خطوة. حوارنا اليوم سيكون باللغة الإنجليزية، وتتوفر الترجمة إلى اللغة العربية لمن يرغب. فرح تلاقوا التعليمات لتفعيل خاصية الترجمة على الزوم chat box. Hello everyone and welcome to a new session of ملتقى خطوة. ملتقى خطوة is a monthly forum on a topic around education, hosted by خطوة under the Qaddumi Foundation. ملتقى خطوة is a space for fruitful dialogue around an aspect of education that we are passionate about. We celebrate success stories and tackle common challenges. We hear from experts who share best practices and bring us new inspirations. Or we engage in discussions and debates with stakeholders from within the learning ecosystem. Today's session is about transforming school culture towards integrating ICT in the learning process, a topic I'm sure that we are all interested in, as it seems to be the question of this hour. So my name is Rana Diab, and I'm the director of the Qaddumi Foundation. I'm honored to welcome all our audience from Palestine, the Arab region, from Finland, and everywhere else. Actually, this is the beauty of technology, that we can all come together from wherever we live and talk about issues that are important to us in a meaningful and constructive way. Also, I'm pleased to welcome today's guest, إليكسي Komo, who is joining us all the way from Finland. And إليكسي is the Sales and Partnerships Director for Europe, the Middle East, India, and Africa at Think Link. Welcome, إليكسي.
Thank you.
So let me, before we begin, just to go over a few quick logistic notes. So as you may know that we are live streaming on our Facebook page. So also I welcome our audience joining us via live streaming. Also we have a hashtag for ملتقى خطوة. It's hashtag ملتقى خطوة. So please tweet using this hashtag and share with us your insights. So our session will start with a presentation by our guest speaker, and then it will be followed by a discussion between me, myself, and إليكسي. And then we will open the floor for questions and answers. So your questions are welcomed, and please write them anytime at the Q&A section. So before we get into our main topic, we would like to take a moment to celebrate World Teachers' Day. As you may know, today is October 5th, which is World Teachers' Day. Today, we celebrate our teachers working in Palestine and around the world. So, and who's better to recognize and thank teachers than students? We've asked some students what they would like to say to their teachers on this very special day. So let's take a look.
أكثر أستاذ أثر علي،
أكثر كلمة
شو بحب أحكي لمستي؟
أنا صرت أحب العربي لأنه مس حاكمة بتحبنا ومرحة وفي تفاعل بالحصة.
أكثر كلمة كان يحكي لي إياها أستاذي وأثرت فيه، كن متواضع لما تفوز ولطيف لما تخسر.
أنا بدي أحكي عن مس هبة عشان هي حفظت اسمي من أول مرة. بحبك كثير مشان بتدرسينا إنجليش.
وبتحب تخليني أشارك معها بالنشاطات وبالطابور الصباحي.
أنا بس أكبر بحب أصير زي مس نور.
أنا بلشت ألعب كرة بالمدرسة وبحب الأستاذ لأنه آمن بقدراتي ودخلني منتخب المدرسة.
مستي بتخليني أحكي كل شيء بيخطر على بالي.
أنا كثير ممتن لك أستاذ محمد لأنك آمنت بقدراتي، حسستني بقدر أوصل لأي شيء بدي إياه بالحياة.
مس منى حبيبتي، أنا مستحيل أنساكي طول حياتي. أنت كنتي قدوتي ولا زلتي؟
عشان هي بتدرسني وتتعب حالها هي بتدرسني. شكرا كثير، بحبكم من كل قلب.
شكرا أستاذ لأنك ساعدت وساهمت تكوين شخصيتي. عمر اليوم أساسه أنت.
بحب أحكي لأستاذي إنه شكرا لأنك علمتني إنه شخصيتي هي أهم من علاماتي.
شكرا مس ريهام لأنك خليتيني بنت أشطر وأحسن، قويتي من شخصيتي وخليتيني أواجه كل صعوباتي.
لما كلهم شافوني مشاغب أنت شفتني مبدع.
كان تدريسها غير عن كل المعلومات، بتعرف كيف تدرس وكان عندها طاقة إيجابية.
تعليم معلم.
تعليم معلم.
شكرا على كل المواقف اللي لا تنتسى.
شكرا مس عهود، بحبك كثير. شكرا.
شكرا لكل نصائحكم وتوجيهاتكم. كل عام وانتم بخير.
كل عام وانت بخير.
كل عام وانتم بألف خير.
كل عام وانتم بألف خير.
كل عام وانتم بألف خير.
كل عام وانتم بألف خير. فعلا أثركم بيعلم. Your impact is infinite. So we will be also celebrating our teachers on Khutwa social media platforms for the whole month. We will be sharing a number of inspirational stories for teachers about the creative solutions they came up during these challenging times. Now, I'm very excited to get into our main topic. So, it's obviously that technology is here to stay. Technology is our current reality, and it's certainly our future. And it's an integral part of our learners' world. So, how do we make learning and education reflect this world? And how do we bring technology into the classroom and into the learning experience in a meaningful and effective way? Our guest today, إليكسي Komo, is here to help us answer some of these questions. إليكسي is the Sales and Partnership Director for Europe, the Middle East, India, and Africa at ThinkLink. ThinkLink is a Finnish education and media technology company that focuses especially on using interactive photos and videos to enhance the user experience. إليكسي is a global technology expert within education sector, and he has designed, implemented, and overseen a number of successful development projects, including transitioning entire school network to the digital era. إليكسي is specialized in researching and developing information and communication technologies in education. He's passionate about how technology can become a natural part of creative learning and the many possibilities, benefits, and results it can create when implemented properly. Right now, he is working on solving global challenges in education by creating a global virtual school and bringing education to everyone. But before I give the floor to my guest, I will talk a little bit about the Finnish education system. This system that we are always inspired and we are always love to hear about the journey of this education system. Actually, this system had a very rigid education system before. Then all the stakeholders in education came together to transform the whole system. Today, we have all heard about the success of the Finnish experience. But what we are interested in, definitely it's not copying it, or it's not to import already-made practices and ideas from Finland, because we all know that this will not work. But we are interested to always hear about this process and this reform to give us an idea about what makes this Finnish education system successful. So before I give the floor to my guest, to Éliksy, let's have a look at this short video. Wow, it's always inspirational. So the floor is yours, Alexi.
Thank you so much, Rana. And I'm honored to be here today, and happy Teachers Day, everyone. I will share my screen now. Let me just, can somebody give me a enable screen sharing? Thank you. So, thanks for the introductions, and it's so nice to be here with you all. And my name is Alexi, and today I'm talking a little bit about school culture and more about how to transform the school culture. And today we have a ICT or technology theme in the school culture, but these things, what I'm talking today, can be used in any situation, not only about ICT or technology. And my background comes from, I was working for University of Eastern Finland for 5 years, and my tasks over there were that I developed and researched together with the professors and teachers how to use technology in learning. And I was working from kindergarten level to secondary level students. I was working with university teachers and school and classroom teachers, and with the university students. And these things, what I'm telling today, came from the project what we had over there, where we really discussed and tried different ways how can we develop our school culture towards supporting ICT in learning, and we did lots of research during that time also. So let's start. I often think about what kind of things shape the future of education, not just technology, but overall things. There's here the most or the best new example is COVID-19. It shaped education, it shaped the working life of everyone and the whole world. Everyone had to learn new skills, do things differently what they were used to. And then if we think technologies, what kind of technologies impact education in the future? And if we think 10 or 15 years forward, what are the technologies impacting our society and education? If we think about these technologies on the screen, everybody knows these: iPhone, iPads, Spotify, Tesla cars, Uber. But the thing is that they didn't exist 15 years ago. So what kind of technology do we have in 10 years or 15 years? And how does it impact us, our education, our society? Right now, there's lots of different technologies what are like megatrends, and people are talking about them all the time. Some of them are artificial intelligence, AI, and you always combine machine learning with AI, robotics, virtual reality, and there's lots of different kind of other technologies like 3D printing, big data, and those kind of things. But if you think about AI, there's lots of different kind of future research and predictions about when does the AI make a difference. And the average of those research and predictions are that the AI will fundamentally alter the nature of our society in 20 years. Some say it will happen in 10 years, some say it will happen in 30 years, but anyway, it will happen. And this means that there's people working among us with machine parts inside them, and the AI is really reforming the whole educational sector. But let's see what future brings. So if those are some of the technologies what are affecting our educational systems and societies right now, what are the future jobs then? Could they be augmented reality journey builder, the telesurgeon, drone manager, medical mentor? The thing is that most of the jobs in 10 years haven't yet been invented. I again like to use the average number 65. Some of the research, or many different research, say that 85% of the jobs in 2030 haven't yet been invented, but I think that 65 could be more accurate. So if you don't know what kind of jobs there will be in the future, I think it's quite impossible to teach students the specific information needed for future jobs. You cannot tell them that if they are starting school, so if you learn this information, you will succeed in the future jobs. Everybody is talking more about skills and the future skills, and I put future because these are the skills right now needed for school life, for working life. And I really like when I read some research about the future skills, so what kind of skills you need now and in the future, there's always one similar thing in those research, and it's lifelong learning. And I really like that never stop learning is one of the most important skills in the future. And the trick is that kids, they love to learn different kind of things. They are curious, they are creative, and they are learning things all the time. But how can you keep that spark of learning when you are 40, 50, 60, 80? I think that is the thing what schools need to be think about, and have the whole lifelong learning part of the curriculum and the educational system, so it will give them tools and skills to keep up the learning after the school is over. And this is because now if you are 40 or 50, perhaps you had 3 or 5 different jobs. But in the future, the kids who are now in the school, perhaps in the first grade, they will have multiple different jobs, tens or hundreds different of jobs. So they need to keep up the learning, so they cannot stop it. So how do we do that, and how can we integrate lifelong learning in the curriculums? And reading, writing, and mathematics, they are very important. But it has been a very long time that the ICT skills, so how to use technology in schools and in working life, are equally important as reading, writing, and mathematics if you want to be successful in the future. 4 C's, these are the basic future skills what everybody is talking. In Finland, it's very often 4C pedagogy, so having critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration. But again, how can you integrate these skills into the curriculum? How can you have critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration in the daily life in your classroom? Have it inside your teaching, and also things what the students also too are doing. How can you have these 4 C's inside all the activities? And of course, there's lots of different kind of skills, but perhaps one or two important ones: empathy. Machines, they don't know empathy, so that's very important skills for every living being. Complex problem solving, people skills, entrepreneurship skills getting more and more important every day, and of course STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, and technological literacy. But technology is making our world so much smaller. Like today, we are together from many different countries, so you need to have global competence skills too, or you should have. And perhaps the most important thing of global competence skills is that you understand different cultures. You work with people from different backgrounds, from different cultures, from different countries. So you need to understand their point of view. And I think global competence skills should be from the first grade or from the kindergarten level part of the curriculum. So to the main topic of my presentation, how to transform your school culture for the future. And in my example, I'm talking about school, but these things, what we did here, it doesn't stop to one school. It can be a network of schools, it can be cities, states, or countries to have these kind of tips. And today I'm not telling what people should do. I try to just give some ideas and perhaps inspire different kind of things what we did, and did research also. So we did this project in Savola Teacher Training School. It started 2013, and it's the official project ended 2018. And in Finland, when there's universities and universities have teacher degree programs, they always have teacher training schools. So these schools are part of the university, but and they are normal schools. So there are kids from kindergarten to 12th grade studying there. There's normal teachers, but the university students who are learning to become a teacher, they do their practical parts of their degree inside these schools. And the teachers who work inside these schools, they are specialty is how to mentor these university students in the practical sessions of their studies. So in 2013, we wanted to transform our school culture. We wanted to be more open, that everybody could share their knowledge, and we wanted to give our students the skills for the future, and we wanted to start using technology more, and we had lots of different kind of plans, and we did lots of mistakes. We did many things right, and the whole presentation is about those things what we did right. So I try to share some of the parts of the project to you all. I was working very closely with teachers and principals inside the school, and we won the GUESS Awards Best Use of ICT in Education or inside the classroom 2018, and it was all about the putting together the project and our story. How did we transform the school culture? And we after the project, when the research was ready, and we have lots of concrete examples from 5 years of doing different kind of things, we found out that there's 5 elements of success when you want to do a change to your school culture and you want to develop it forward. The first point was visionary leadership. This picture is the head principal, Mikko Ripatti, and Mikko had the vision about integrating the technology into our curriculum and into our daily life, and he knew what he wanted the classrooms look like in 5 years. But he didn't do it alone. We had the leadership group, and their job was to move the whole project and transformation forward. We had inside that group, we had principals, teachers, IT specialists, some partners from different companies, and the whole community. The Savonlinna city was working with us, and we were very we tried to make everything very visible for the parents and students also. So the main point from the leadership part is that share the leadership, create a group who can inspire the others, teachers, principals, students, parents, local communities. So that was the first point. The second point, and one of the most important ones, we want to develop our school culture, but that also means that we need to innovate learning and teaching, and not just keep them as they were. But we needed that the learning and teaching are developed that technology can perhaps support it. And in the end, the learning experiences, they were very active, personal, collaborative, and relevant. And they were designed to empower learners to be creators and who believe that their work matters. And that's very important part, that the students, that they believe, okay, this is important work what I'm doing right now. And we gave them a lot of room to be creators, not just consuming pre-made materials, but they were creating their own English books, and they were creating lots of different kind of learning materials, and it worked really well. And we had a name for it. So first, when you start this kind of project, it was very consume-based pedagogy for us. So we were using lots of pre-made books, and students and teachers were just consuming them and filling the blanks. But we wanted to make it more that they are creators and creating the content, not just consuming. And these were the elements of learning, what you could see inside the classrooms. There were lots of teamwork, lots of communication and creation, sharing their own content, sharing their own knowledge between students, between teachers. It was, in the end, it was very personalized, so they could create their own personalized learning paths. They could choose what kind of technological environment they used. There was always critical thinking. And one of the most important parts of these different kind of elements of learning were that all the things, or not all, but many of the things what we did, we try to link them into real world. So if there's assignments, they were linked to the real world, or if we created some content for the university students, we linked to that, to the real world. And here's some examples of the content what we were using. These observation sessions, they were for the university students. So these were 360 videos of the actual lessons, and also content and theory was linked to these videos. So the students, the university students, they could observe the classroom situations before they even went to the classroom, and they could add their own observations here and discuss about those in groups or with the teachers. So these kind of things we created during the project. Those were about learning, but teaching also. We tried to innovate the teaching, and perhaps the main point of the teaching part was that we wanted that the teachers think about us learning experience designers. And of course it was student-centered, not teacher-centered, but they were designing different kind of learning experiences and guiding and mentoring the students. Third point, ongoing professional learning. The thing was that, okay, we started to use lots of technology, and now in COVID-19 time, all the teachers and students are starting to use technology. If they don't have access to the physical environments, to the physical school anymore, they are doing remote teaching and remote learning. And it really helps if you have a background and giving opportunities for professional learning or development. And what we did inside our school, of course, all the teachers are quite busy, but we gave them opportunity for 15 minutes every week. There were different professionals, there were teachers, there were students, IT personnels sharing some success stories and teaching one new thing to the teachers. And once a month, we had 1.5 hour session where different teachers and specialists shared different kind of examples how they were using technology with students and in their own working life. And then some teachers gave sessions, and they were teaching new skills to the teachers, and this kind of thing really worked. We made it in the learning part in small bites, so teachers, they didn't feel like that they are overwhelmed and they need to learn these kind of skills all the time, but 50 minutes per week, that worked. And if you want to know that where you are going, and if you need to do some changes, you need to have goals and research linked to the development work also. So we have lots of different kind of goals. Once a year we had we made these question forms to parents, students, and teachers, and we did, during that 5 years, we did lots of research about different topics related to the school culture and the use of technology. These are some of the results from Dr. Laura Hirsto. There were strengthened students' problem-solving skills. Learning by doing and research-based learning increased during the 5-year period. Class working atmosphere is better than before. They even told us that homework felt more pleasant, and learning from each other increased, and sharing culture increased significantly. And these are all very important points when we are doing more remote teaching and learning than before. And the final thing is flexible learning environments. It was about physical learning environments. The school buildings, they were old, but we tried to go outside of the classroom as much as possible, go to the real world, what you are trying to learn, go to the museums, libraries. If you have nature, go to the nature, and also the digital learning environments. We try to make them as flexible as possible and as easy to use as possible too. So those 5 points for us, they were the elements of success. So visionary leadership, innovative learning and teaching, ongoing professional learning, goals and research, flexible learning environments. And after this project, we worked with many different cities and schools here in Finland, and they were doing their own development work for the school culture. And many other schools and cities, they found out that, okay, these kind of things, they are very important. Of course, there's unique elements to different countries and cultures too, but I have worked globally with different schools afterwards too, and I always find similarities everywhere where I visit, and with the schools and governments who I work with. So these were our findings during the project, and I think they, for us at least, they were the most important things of success. And I have been talking lots about creativity and giving room for creativity too, and I think if we are using technology and we have this great possibility to easily create professional looking videos, do coding, do photo editing, and if teachers, if they can give room for creativity, I think that will make technology to mean something. And I wanted to add this thing. we were talking during the project that if you ask students what do they think that is a school for them, they were always pointing the physical school building, but we were thinking that the school should be more the school culture, and it's not linked to only to the physical place. And now during COVID-19 time, when you cannot go to the physical school anymore, and it's more about the school culture, what you have created and what you are creating during the remote learning sessions. I think in the future, when you ask what from the first grader, what is school, they perhaps doesn't point the physical building anymore. And I always want to close my presentation from the global point of view, because now I was talking in a very small perspective about one school, one city, one country. But when we are talking about technology and learning technology and the future skills, future technologies, they are always linked to the global challenges and global challenges in education. If you think that right now there's 260 million children and youth out of school, and in 10 years, if things doesn't change, there's 400 million children without basic primary education, and 800 million young people, they don't have any skills needed to join the modern workforce. Those are quite big numbers. So, and of course that we need 70 million new teachers in 10 years also. I'm very passionate about educational technology. So can the use of meaningful learning technology help solving global challenges in education? And here I have some questions for you to think about. If you are using technology, how can technology help our students learn better? How can it give teachers more time for meeting students face to face? How can technology encourage higher level thinking skills, communication, and creativity? And to end my presentation, I just wanted to give 3 concrete tips to all the teachers who are with us over here. So here's my 3 tips for using technology in the classroom and in the remote learning situations. Keep it simple. Don't try to create perhaps a learning or coding game for 1 week and the students will complete in 15 minutes. Allow them to create the game and share it to each other. Keep it real. So in some cases, I love technology, but pen and paper can do a lot better job in some cases than just trying to use the technology because we have access to it. So keep it real and keep it meaningful. And what I mean with this, use it if you can make an impact in learning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Alexi. Actually, you posed some questions in the end, and I expected that you will answer them, so I'll bringing them back to you again. But let me first of all saying that really it's thank you for this fascinating insight into what's possible when we use technology in a meaningful way. So you stressed on meaningful. So what I got from your talk, that it's first and foremost about the education system. So it's about how we think about education today, even before we discuss technology. So there is something that we have to be prepared for before we talk about how to use technology. So we are looking for an education that is quite different from the one that we are used to. So it's more creative, more collaborative, more learner-centered, and maybe it's not taking place, as you said, within the four walls of a classroom as we know it. So you said then technology comes in as this powerful tool that makes this type of education, so we need this type of education, it makes it easier, more engaging, more fun. It kind of amplifies the effects that we are looking for. So this is very interesting how you put all these things together. But now actually it brings me to my first question to you. And now we're going to go from the dreamland, from the dream world to the reality that most of the countries in the world are facing. Because not most of the countries are Finland or Estonia or Singapore, and we do have really many challenges when we talk about education, and especially when integrating technology and education. So you said that there are 5 components of success if we want to integrate technology into education, that you talked about them in your presentation. And all these components need to be in the education system that we want today, which Finland is one of them, being the vision, the learning environment, the infrastructure, and many other components. But definitely this is not the perfect scenario that we have in all countries. And we know that we can't just stop and we wait until this perfect picture of education to start our transformation. So how can we make use of technology in the way you talk about in countries where they are at different levels of education systems?
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking this while waiting this webinar to start, and like I said, I have worked with different countries, and I worked with schools in India, schools in US and in Canada, and different countries in Europe, and I have been doing this long time, and thankfully these all things what I told today are well known today, and they are not, schools or cities are not going technology first anymore like it used to be. They got funding, they bought lots of laptops, and now they are going to revolutionize the learning and going technology first, and they always fail that kind of project. But I think what every country could do, they could do small steps. They could think about inside their classroom or inside their school. If we are not talking about countrywide first, what things of their, perhaps if we think about those 5 steps, what kind of things in their leadership are working very well? And if you think a teacher as a leader, what they are doing well, and are there any things what they could improve easily? And if there's some bottlenecks, could they try to solve them together with teachers, students, and parents, and perhaps in the citywide? And if we have technology, and I think before using them, and of course now in the COVID-19 time, you have to use it, even if you don't have a vision and plan to use it, but still think about why are we using this, and what do you want to achieve? And if you are thinking about from the leader's perspective, they should think that if I go inside the classroom in 5 years, how do I want it to look like? And from that you could create your small vision and your small strategy, and have a small team of innovators inspiring each other. So I think any country could do those kind of things, and we have done those. And of course there's always a cultural differences and differences of curriculums, and how do you have teachers, and how big your classrooms are, and so on. So small steps is my answer.
Yeah. So I'll come with another question. So imagine a school has a specific budget for ICT. So from your experience, what is the best investment of that budget? From where to start?
Yeah. It really depends of the size of the budget. The best case scenario is, of course, to have one-to-one devices if you have a large funding, but that's surreal in most of the cases. Perhaps have some shared devices per classroom. So you could have group work, perhaps working in a groups of 5 or even 10, and then have perhaps one device per group. It can be a mobile phone or laptop, or use your personal devices if the students have mobile phones. And then perhaps try to build very flexible and easy to use digital infrastructure. Perhaps have, of course, if it's possible, to have the internet connection. If not, try to work around how can we work without the internet? How can we share content locally and work offline? And where can we download different kind of content and use it then offline? And have some kind of learning management systems, what makes sharing content easy, and perhaps giving assignments and do perhaps assessment. And now when many of the schools around the world are closed, you need to have those kind of environments. But have some devices per classroom, create your digital infrastructure, make it light, make it flexible. Perhaps use some of your time to plan it before buying any of the things.
Yeah, so it's not just about the device and having the internet. So
No.
Because as you may know that in many countries, this is a huge challenge. And in Palestine, we do have these challenges. So the issue of the infrastructure, the accessibility to internet, the availability of devices, it's not in its perfect situation. So what you're saying, so it's not, you can just start with being offline and using other methods for learning. But actually, it takes me to another question, because as you may know, in our part of the world, our teachers are very much busy and loaded with what they're doing. So my question is, with these interesting technologies, emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and others, how can we use these technologies to give teachers more time, that can make they have more time actually to face-to-face time with students?
Yeah, my dream for technology is that, like I had it there, how can technology give more time for face-to-face? And there was a new research that 49% of the teachers' work, they are doing something else than interacting with the students. They are doing grading and some administrative work and so on. So if we think about these future technologies, I think the best thing for AI and machine learning is to give more time for teachers for the face-to-face interaction with the student, and that the technology could do all the boring work, grading, and perhaps if you have one teacher and 100 students, so the technology could help the teacher to pinpoint the different perhaps learning problems and create personalized learning paths from a huge database. So there's no real easy solution right now, but for now the technology can take some of the boring work from the teacher away and give more time for the face-to-face, which I think if you think like 10 or 20 or 30 years forward is the most important thing what the machines cannot do. How to see the world and the perspective from individual student and how to create the positive atmosphere inside the classroom and how to resolve conflicts and inspire students. Those are all the things what teachers should have more time. But I know the situation all around the world, it's not like perhaps here in Finland they have more time to interact directly with the students.
So maybe we are still doing many things, our teachers are still doing many things that machines can do now. So if we free out their times with other things, so maybe they will feel more more engaged with their students. So from your experience, Alexi, what are common mistakes sometimes when integrating technology in education? Why sometimes we get failed experiences?
The most common thing here in Finland too is that you go technology first. You don't start planning it from the pedagogical point of view. You don't think that, okay, we have our curriculum and our curriculum has different kind of things. You should start thinking about how can we integrate technology into the curriculum, and again, I cannot tell how important the planning part is. That you should always think how can technology enhance learning and enhance teaching, and start thinking from the pedagogical point of view and from your curriculum, and then make your decisions about technology, about your software, about your devices, about your infrastructure. Not that you do them before. In many cases where schools or cities fail, they create the infrastructure, they buy the devices, they choose the software, and then they give it to the teachers and students who haven't had any part of the planning process, and then the problems start. Even if you have the best infrastructure and all the money, it doesn't help.
Yeah, so it's very important always to ask ourselves what really we want from technology, and how.
And I just want to add to have all the different stakeholders, leaders, teachers, students, parents, IT personnels included when you are planning the things. Not just that the leaders and IT department plans it and then they implement it. It never works.
Yeah. So actually, I have a question here. I just I think it's interesting to ask. In Finland, do you have like a strategy at a strategy level, at the national strategy level, for integrating technology in education, where different stakeholders sit together, meaning also the private sector and all other parties? Because also you need the investment from the private sector working in the, let's say, internet, or to bring in devices and so on. So how it works in Finland? What kind of collaboration there?
The collaboration part and planning together with different stakeholders like government and private sector, it's getting better and better all the time. Right now there's national guidelines of how to integrate technology into your local curriculum, but in Finland it goes that there's national level guidelines, and then the city can customize their own local curriculum and the technology part, and then many times the school can make their own decisions too. So the situation is quite good if we compare like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago in Finland. The beginning of like integrating and trying to use technology in the learning, it was not that good, but we have learned our things, and it's getting better all the time.
Yeah. So Yeah, and I think we've exceeded the time for our dialogue between me and you, because I see some questions here. So thank you for this rich exchange about a topic that really has much possibility. So let me now just see the questions that we have from our audience, and I think we have actually many questions. So first question is, how do you see using technology in education solving these global challenges that you raised in your presentation, especially when you talk about accessibility? So accessibility, you can't just solve it with the issue of technology. There are many other aspects related to accessibility. So how do you see technology can play a role in solving these big challenges, global challenges?
I have been working with the different challenges and with educational technology and with the people, with different people, and I think solving those problems goes hand in hand with the people and the use technology. And for the accessibility part, I think the best things right now is that technology can help that we can get education to everyone, and or at least make it easier to get to everyone. The automated translating parts are getting better and better. If you have reading problems, there's lots of different kind of technologies what can help you. And perhaps the main point, if we think about all the numbers, that how many million people don't even have access to schools, or how many teachers we need, I think one of the most interesting possibilities for technology and solving some of the global challenges in education is that the technology can make the education and learning and teaching scalable. Of course, it happens through people who are planning the things and collaborating, but the technology can really make it scalable, and it can make education to everyone. And that, I think that is the most promising possibility with technology.
And I agree, it goes hand in hand with other things that need to be solved also. So I have many questions, so let me take them one by one. So one question is, how can we make technology part of our students' lives? In a region like the Middle East, how can we ensure better technology system for emergency times?
I think that the students will use the technology, not just playing games and so on. If it's possible to give them some options to choose what kind of technology they use. If you think about giving assignments, you give assignment to tell about different rivers in your country, or lakes or sea, and then you don't say that, okay, I want 5-page essay, but you just give the assignments, and the student can choose what kind of thing the end result is. It can be the 5-page essay, it can be a PowerPoint presentation, it can be a video, it can be a code digital story. So in my experience, that will help that the student will use the technology meaningful way, and not just watch YouTube or play games. Give them a freedom to choose and be creative, and that also is valid in these emergency times like COVID-19.
Yeah. So another question, actually I can see some questions asking about changing the curriculum and what is needed to be done. Definitely this is not our guest can't answer questions related to our countries, but yes, as he mentioned, that in order to have an effective integration of technology in education, we need a kind of education that is different than the one that we have. So the answer will be yes, although we said that we can start step by step and we can start with different things. So another question, how can we link between future jobs and the school culture? Is there a suggested track for achieving it?
Can you tell me again the question?
Okay.
Future.
So, yeah, so actually, I think that it's meant that how we can direct the school culture towards the future of jobs in order to be prepared to it.
Yeah, I think you should always start from your local community and from your country, like what are needed, because we don't know the future jobs, but of course we can try to mirror the local society right now and do some predictions for the future. I think that's good for K-12, TVET, higher education, and because there's no magic way to know what are the future jobs and where should we go to. Perhaps I think those soft skills mentioned, you cannot go wrong with them because you need them everyday life right now, and I bet that you still need them in the future. So perhaps if you want to guide the curriculum and the use of technology for the future, don't try to think about what kind of information to teach, but perhaps what kind of skills and what kind of possibilities you can give for the students to do different kind of activities, and how can you link it to the curriculum.
Yeah, I agree. So it's no one knows more than, I don't know, maybe 10 years from now what kind of jobs will be in the market. So it's all about being adaptable and flexible for change and try to acquire skills that is needed for different kind of jobs in the future. So I have another question. How can emerging technologies such as AI, machine learning, AR reduce the digital divide, especially between developed and developing countries?
Well, for this, again, scaling education, scaling, if you don't have enough teachers or well-trained teachers in your country, can these technologies, AI, machine learning, can they help scaling the teacher training, scaling perhaps the teachers to different areas where there are no teachers, and those who don't have any physical school buildings or don't have any access to schools, whatever the reason is, can the technology bring the school to them and the education and the possibility to educate themselves? So I think that link.
Yeah. So if it's used well, actually, so yeah, in many areas it can actually reduce this divide between the countries. So the other actually technology, which is also now is fascinating us, is the Internet of Things. This is the new world. So the question is Internet of Things being used in education? Do you see applications for it?
Yes, it depends. If we go back to the physical buildings at some point, it can be very useful to have the devices and the physical environments linked to the internet, and that they will collect different kind of data. It can be how the physical environment is used, and is the climate over there good, and so on, and perhaps use the lightning can be automated to make the students more motivated, or if they are feeling tired, the technology can perhaps change the environment for the whole school to support them. But I don't know now in the remote learning times, can the Internet of Things have that big impact? But yes, it's meaningful, and I think it has a big role when we are all back in our physical environments. It's not that meaningful in digital environments only.
Yeah. So, you know, Alexi, during this pandemic and these situations, we've heard many terms about what's happening now with education. So some says it's a remote learning, online learning, virtual learning, and so on. So and definitely in the world of education, there is a huge difference between each type. I can tell. But you've mentioned remote learning. So what is exactly remote learning?
I think it's the same learning process, but now it's not related of any physical place to learn things, and just now you can, I don't know if it's the best word to use, but I don't like to talk when we are talking about technology that it's for teaching or for education. Perhaps all comes to learning. So we are using learning technology, and now we are remotely learning the same things and skills what we used to learn in the physical environment. And the remote, I think it's same as online, but I don't really care about the wording that much, but I think the main point is the learning part, to have it over there.
Yeah. So this is actually out of curiosity. Was Finland prepared to what happened in terms of education, and how learning took place during the pandemic and the current situation?
It was from not that successful to very successful. So there were lots of differences between cities and between schools inside the cities. So some of the schools who were used to use technology, and they had the digital infrastructure ready, and the teachers, they knew the basics, and the students knew the basics. Those were the success stories here in Finland. But I think that's about 10 or 20% of the schools here in Finland. So I think it was average for us, not perfect at all, but average. Yeah. There's lots of complaints from the teachers, from the students, from the parents, from the government about those things, what didn't go well. But there were lots of different things what went really well. The teachers really had to jump forward if they haven't used any technology in their teaching before. And same goes to students if they didn't have any access to technology, and now they had to work from study from home. So I think we had similar things with different countries, but I think the thing what went well, the learning didn't stop at any time. The schools, they were closed, but there was always classroom activities happening between teachers and students all the time. Closed. And I know for many countries that was not the case. So
yeah, actually this pandemic raised many questions regarding education, and the world thought that we are really ready and for this online world, and then we found out that still we need to work a lot to be ready. So okay, so I have another question. So do you think teachers will ever become obsolete? Do you think we will continue to have hybrid learning after the pandemic? So is it going to be again only physical, or do you think it will continue hybrid?
For the first part of the question, no. Teachers are always needed. Their role will evolve for certain. I hope that it will be hybrid model in the future. I don't know, but I think if the learning can be flexible and without boundaries, it's better than the old model.
Yeah. And someone said, I think you talked about this, but how can, he's saying, I think you talked about this before, but how can you use technology in education that don't have full internet coverage? How you use technology?
Yeah, it's then like the hybrid model. What can you do offline? You can create content offline. You can be creative offline with the technology. You don't need internet access to it. But if you don't have good internet connection, then you should plan it beforehand. Don't perhaps buy devices who need online access. Buy devices what you can use to take pictures, videos, do movies, do presentations offline, and then share them between devices offline. So I have seen many like models where you don't have a good internet connection, and then if you plan it more towards offline and have plans that in the future perhaps the infrastructure gets better, so it's totally possible to have the benefits of technology offline too.
Yeah. So Alexi, is it allowed for students to use their own mobiles in the classroom?
Yeah, in the most of the schools here in Finland, yes.
They use it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So another question, someone saying, thank you for your presentation. After almost 9 months of using technology and distance learning, students, teachers, and parents are still complaining about distance learning. How is the situation in Finland? Yeah, you've mentioned this.
Yeah, it's same. It's getting better, but really the parents, the students, the teachers, nobody is used to this kind of situation. Of course, it's more normal in higher education, but not in K-12 sector. So they are still complaining less. That's good, but it's not like topic of every like news piece in Finland anymore. It was in the beginning, but now we are going down and nobody is learning anything, and the students are not attending the lessons anymore. It's not like that. It's more stable now. But yes, there's still complaining, but we try to evolve during the process too.
Yeah. Okay. So a question. What kind of priorities now at the educational agenda in Finland after the pandemic?
What kind of
things that are priority now that they want to work on after what happened and after the pandemic?
Yeah. Right now the government is giving lots of money if you try to develop your digital infrastructure for the future. So I know that many cities are getting funding who are creating that learning can happen even if the new wave of pandemic comes to Finland and we need to close the schools again. So if you can make your learning content digitalized and interactive, they are giving money for that, and for all the different kind of things where you try to plan, and because we know what didn't work well, so how can we improve those things for the future? Because here in Finland the second wave is already happening, but the schools are still open, but nobody knows how long. So being prepared. I think we try to improve the things what didn't work that well right now.
Yeah, interesting. So should technology be used in school for children under 6 years old?
Yes and no. I think I have worked with kindergartens too, and I really like some of them who are using technology with the kids. It can be that they go to the nature and they document something just by taking a picture or taking a video, and the kid is telling with his or her own voice what is happening over there, and then the teacher is putting them all together and they are sharing them to parents. And in those kind of situations, using technology with very young kids, it's meaningful, and the end result is very nice, and I don't think that it has any negative effects to the kids.
So in a simple way, in a very
very simple way, but still like thinking, okay, if you are using technology, what is simple enough and what can have the biggest impact. And I think like just taking pictures, videos, using your own voice, and that can have very nice end results.
So again, it's about asking the question why we want them to use this technology. So it really has an impact for doing this, so we can do it in a simple way. So another question, how can we be partners with the parents, especially in times, it seems this is a teacher, in times like now where we had to use online teaching?
So how to work with parents and communicate with parents? In Finland, we have this national-wide platform what every school uses to communicate with parents. They are still using it during COVID-19 time, and I think they are overusing it. But I have been talking with the teachers that the parents try to over-communicate because they are unsure what is happening right now, because their kid doesn't go to school and they are thinking, okay, they are not doing anything, they're just staying home and so on. So that was one of the pain points in the beginning, all the flood of different kind of messages. But I think you can still create collaboration and communication and make the learning of the students visible to parents during pandemic times. Have these kind of virtual meetings. Tomorrow I'm going to attend to a virtual meeting of my 1-year-old baby girl. So we are meeting virtually, the teachers and the staff members, and discussing about her progress and all the plans. And I think there's nothing special. Use the same things what you are using in distance or remote learning.
Interesting. Actually, it was really an interesting thing that it seems this pandemic showed that parents were not very much involved in the learning of their kids. So once upon a time they are partners and they need to know what is needed from them actually. And teachers, they relied on them. So this kind of collaboration is needed. And now it's something to debate about. So I have another question. What technological tools and apps are utilized in the context of active personalized learning in both basic and higher education?
I don't do any app recommendations anymore. When we were doing this project, what I was talking about in my presentation, we had lots of visitors from all around Finland and global visitors too from different countries, and that was the most asked question. So what kind of apps you use with your students? And again, it's not about the apps. Just choose the apps which will give the best value for you and for your students and for your goals while you are using the technology and apps. So I don't have any app
there is no magical answer.
No.
Okay. So another one, do you think e-learning can ever give us the same quality as in-person learning?
It will take time, and I think still working with a real person, it's never same as having very high-tech e-learning content combined with AI, machine learning, and with the best technology. I think it can happen at some point, but it will take time.
Yeah. So is online learning suitable for teaching all subjects?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, all the like if you're talking about crafts and arts and music, they are facing some difficulties, and all the subjects what are normally very related to the physical environment. So they are doing some like home economics or woodcrafts or textile work, and so that kind of things. But they can be done, but you need to perhaps have the physical experience still home to learn all those perhaps hand skills. How do you use the knife to carve the wood and so on? You cannot totally learn that even in a virtual reality, in a simulated environment. Not yet. When you can feel and have the feeling experience too, perhaps then it's more easier. But yeah. Some subjects are easier than others.
I think the students who are in the vocational track maybe and the technical track, they had some obstacles with the online learning, because as you said, it needs this practical experience. So another question, how can we activate school libraries by technology or with technology?
I know, but I think the libraries overall and the school libraries, their role is evolving also in many parts of the world where I visit. So they are not just a place where you rent books. They are evolving into maker spaces where you can use different kind of technology, perhaps do 3D printing or that kind of things. So I think libraries are more evolving to be this space where you can have different kind of activities, and many times you are making and creating different kind of things in those environments. So I think in the future, the school libraries are the public maker spaces for schools and the local communities too.
Yeah. So will online education be the norm of the education system? And what is your advice for non-formal education in terms of priority?
I don't know if I think the hybrid model will be better, not just go 100% online, because like we talked, there's many different kind of sectors like TVET and different kind of subjects what are not that best suited for online learning. And what was the other part of the question? Non-formal?
The other part was, and what is your advices for non-formal education in terms of priority?
I don't really understand the last part of the question.
Actually, me also. Okay, so we will leave it. So how can we learn more about your research and the findings of the project? So they want to know.
I can if you have a place where to share them, I can find some of the summaries what are in English, so you can perhaps share in your Facebook channel or somewhere else, and I can ask the professors the permission to share perhaps a little bit more that are not available for public.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I can write it down, and you remind me later on if you don't hear about me. I can share the summaries what are in English, and there's all the statistics, and they are very interesting results. They are comparing, if you're using technology, they are comparing girls and boys, what kind of things they do differently with technology and so on. So those kind of results I have in English, and those I can share later on if you have a way to share them to the participants.
Okay, so we will be actually coordinating with you to see how we can share the kind of findings that you can share it with the public. Yeah. So another question. I know there are many questions. So how can I think that no we just answered this question. So I know that when we talk about technology and education, we can talk for hours, and these fascinating new technologies will take us to many days, and maybe still we have years to discuss. So, and we know that we can't cover all aspects in one session, but we hope that this exchange has provided all of us with some ideas, new perspectives, and inspiration for some practical applications that we can take. So I will actually end here by thanking you, إليكسي, for your time and for your incredible insights and actually very interesting topic. And also I thank all our audience for being here and for this enriching discussion. And I look forward, as always, to seeing you all again next month for another session of ملتقى خطوة. So thank you, إليكسي. Thank you, our audience. And by this, we end our session. Thank you.